Hello and welcome to this video. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Today we'll be looking at the games for this weekend, so I hope you enjoy. If you do, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, of course, if you are new. So we'll start with the last week's fixtures and the results. So Bournemouth beat Manchester United 1-0. Arsenal and Wolves played out a 1-1 draw. Aston Villa and Liverpool played each other and Liverpool won 2-1. Brighton won 2-0 against Norwich. Manchester City beat Southampton 2-1. Sheffield United put 3 past Burnley in a 3-0 win. Newcastle went to West Ham and won 3-2. Chelsea went to Watford and won 2-1. And then Sunday there was, I think there was a couple of games. First of which was Crystal Palace losing 2-0 to Leicester, and then Everton and Tottenham played out a 1-1 draw. So the first game this round of fixtures will be taking place on Friday night, and it's between Norwich and Watford. The two teams that have really struggled. They are in 19th and 20th, and Watford are yet to find a victory so far this season in the Premier League. They've won in the Carabao Cup, but they are yet to win in the Premier League, which isn't a good start. They've had 5 draws and 6 defeats. They've had 5 draws, which is the second biggest, joint second biggest. Only Wolves have managed more draws than that, but Watford have failed to win in their last 11 games in the Premier League, and the run before that as well. They only had like 1 or 2 wins this year, so it's been a poor start for Watford. The last 5 games in all competitions. We'll start with Watford. The away side, a 0-0 draw with Sheffield United, a 1-1 draw with Spurs, a 0-0 draw with Bournemouth, a 2-0 defeat to Everton in the EFL Cup, and then a 2-1 defeat to Chelsea. So those defeats and draws aren't too bad, but they're not winning any games, and there's no way they're going to stay up if they don't win any games. That's ridiculous. So they're really fighting for their lives at the moment. They need to start picking up some wins, because if they started picking up some wins they could climb, and that would be really important to survival, of course. Last 5 for Norwich, they're all in the Premier League. A 2-0 defeat to Crystal Palace, a 5-1 defeat to Aston Villa, a 0-0 draw with Bournemouth, a 3-1 defeat to Manchester United, where they had 2 penalties saved, Manchester United, by Tim Krul, and then a 2-0 defeat to Brighton in their last 5. So that's why they find themselves in 19th and 20th, because between them they haven't managed to win in the last 5 games each, which isn't really going to keep up. I think both of these teams will go down. I really do. I don't think any of these teams will survive. I think this game is going to be one of the most boringest games that's going to take place. It's just a case of whether Norwich can get a goal and win the game. And I think they will do that. I think Norwich will win this game. I'm going to go 1-0 to Norwich. If they won this game, then they would go above Southampton into 18th place, but would be still inside the relegation zone with a win. But I'm going to go for Norwich to win this game 1-0. So that's taking place at Friday night at a 8 o'clock kickoff. Next game is Saturday, and that is 12:30, Chelsea taking on Crystal Palace. Now, for fans of watch-alongs, I will be covering this game live at 12:30, so feel free to go and check that out. I'll be live around 12ish, ready for the 12:30 kickoff, so feel free to go and give me a watch. I'd really appreciate it. Chelsea are in 4th place so far, and I think they'll be very pleased with how well this season has gone. Crystal Palace are in 9th place, and I think Palace will be pleased with themselves. They're only 2 points off Arsenal, which is very good, and they've had some iffy results as of late in their last 3 games. They've had 2 defeats and 1 draw in the Premier League, so that's brought them down from 6th. I think they were as high as 6th. Last 5 then for each team. Premier League results all for Crystal Palace: a 2-0 win over Norwich, a 2-1 win over West Ham, 2-0 defeat to City, as you probably would expect. They went to Arsenal and got a 2-2 draw with Socrates' goal ruled out late in that game. Then they had Leicester City and they lost 2-0. Jamie Vardy scoring there, and Soyuncu as well. Chelsea's last 5, they went to Ajax and won at the Johan Cruyff Arena 1-0. Then they played Burnley and won 4-2. Joe Rodriguez scored an absolute worldie, but I was really impressed with Pulisic in that game. A 2-1 defeat to Manchester United in the EFL Cup. I don't think I'll be too disappointed with that. It's just it's a cup where they probably want to focus on the Premier League and the Champions League more, so I don't think they'll be too disappointed with that. 2-1 win over Watford and a 4-4 draw with Ajax, with a late goal ruled out for Chelsea, and so they could have won that game 5-4. 2 sending-offs for Ajax within a minute as well. But I think overall Frank Lampard is doing a fantastic job. I really do believe he is going to do really well in the management game. I really do believe that, because he's done so well at Chelsea, he did well at Derby, and I really would like him to succeed. He's a young English manager, and we need more of those, because there isn't too many English managers in the Premier League, particularly in the top 6. There's only obviously one at the moment, and that is Lampard. So the result then, I'm going to go for a win to Chelsea. I'm going to go 2-1 to Chelsea. I think it'll be tight. I don't think there'll be a lot between them, but I'm just going to go for Chelsea to edge the result. We have 4 games kicking off at 3 o'clock, the first of which is Burnley versus West Ham. So both sides suffered defeat in their last round of fixtures. 13th we find West Ham, and 14th we find Burnley. So the last 5 games for each team, all Premier League fixtures. West Ham, a 2-2 draw with Bournemouth, 2-1 defeat to Palace, a 2-0 defeat to Everton, a 1-1 draw with Sheffield United, and then a 3-2 defeat to Newcastle. Burnley's fixtures are as follows: a 2-2 draw with Aston Villa, a 1-0 win over Everton, and then 3 defeats in a row to Leicester, to Chelsea, and to Sheffield United, as seen them drop down to 14th, because they were like 7th a few weeks ago. They have dropped down since then because of those 3 defeats. Burnley are at home. West Ham aren't going very well, and I think Pellegrini is coming to his end of his tenure as manager of West Ham. I think he will be sacked. For that reason, I'm going to go for Burnley to win this game. I'm going to go 2-0 to Burnley, and Burnley could climb as high as 9th, so that would be quite good for them. So yeah, so I think Burnley will win this game, because I think Pellegrini is going to leave. I don't think he's the man to turn it around at West Ham. I think they're going to look elsewhere for him. Newcastle and Bournemouth is the next game. Bournemouth are in 7th place after a great win over Manchester United, and Newcastle won at the last weekend as well. They won 3-2 at West Ham and are 12 points in 15th place. In the last 5 games of both sides, once again, all Premier League ties. A 2-2 draw with West Ham as Bournemouth first result, a 1-0 defeat to Arsenal, a 0-0 draw with Norwich, and a 0-0 draw with Watford, and a 1-0 win over Manchester United. Newcastle's last 5 games: a 5-0 defeat to Leicester City, a 1-0 win over Manchester United, a 1-0 defeat to Chelsea, a 1-0 draw with Wolves, and a 3-2 win over West Ham. So I am quite buoyed by Newcastle's last results. Since that defeat to Leicester, a 1-0 win over Manchester United. Obviously, Manchester United are a massive club, and their season hasn't gone too well, but that's still a good win. And 1-0 defeat to Chelsea, a narrow defeat. A 1-0 draw with Wolves, who are starting to get their form back a little bit, and a 3-2 win over West Ham. So they're starting to produce some good results. So for that reason, I'm going to go for a Newcastle win here. I'm going to go 1-0 to the Magpies in that one. Next, we have Southampton versus Everton. This is a game between 2 sides that are really disappointed this season. Southampton have won just 2 games so far this season, are in 18th place with 8 points so far this season, and have conceded 27 goals, including a 9-0 hammering at the hands of Leicester City. 17th place, 1 place above Southampton, we find Everton, who are on 11 points. The last 5 games for both sides. Southampton are a 4-1 defeat to Chelsea, a 1-0 draw with Wolves, a 9-0 defeat to Leicester, that absolute humiliation. Then they went into the EFL Cup and played Manchester City, and they lost that one 3-1. And then in the Premier League, they played Man City again and lost 2-1. Good performance that from Southampton. They really did hold on right until the end when Kyle Walker found the net and won 2-1. Everton's last 5 games: Burnley versus Everton, that finished 1-0 to Burnley. West Ham, they won 2-0. A 3-2 defeat to Brighton, a 2-0 win over Watford, that was in the EFL Cup, and then a 1-1 draw with Tottenham. I really do believe that Hasenhüttl is a good manager. I really did believe that. I thought he was a great appointment when they brought him in after he'd previously managed RB Leipzig. But things haven't gone too well. They've lost 7 games, which is more than Watford so far this season, who are bottom of the league. So things haven't gone too well for Southampton so far, but they're at home. And I think they'll be buoyed by their last performance against Manchester City. And I think they will win this game. I'm going to go 2-0 to Southampton. Southampton getting the win over Everton. And that would put them on level on points with Everton and back, trying to climb out of the relegation zone. Next game, we have Tottenham versus Sheffield United. Sheffield United are in 6th place and are with 16 points, and that's somewhere where Tottenham would love to be right now. It's an amazing, amazing start by Sheffield United under Chris Wilder, and I'm so happy for him. 11th place, we find Tottenham, who had a really bad start to the Premier League this season. 13 points so far for Spurs. In the last 5 games, we'll start with Sheffield United. A 1-0 defeat to Liverpool, where they should have got a point. A 0-0 draw with Watford, a 1-0 win over Arsenal, a 1-0 draw with West Ham, and a 3-0 win over Burnley. Tottenham's last 5 games, a 1-0 draw with Watford, a 5-0 win over Red Star Belgrade. Liverpool, they lost 2-1, a 1-0 draw with Everton. Obviously, they were down to 10 men with that Son being sent off for the whole Andre Gomez situation, and that's been rescinded. I don't think that I don't think it was a red card. Obviously, it's a tragedy what happened to Andre Gomez, and hopefully he'll recover soon. But I don't think it was a sending off. And Red Star Belgrade, they played on Wednesday, and they won 4-0. So they really had the better of Red Star Belgrade. And Red Star Belgrade was a hard place to go. Last season they beat Liverpool and they beat Napoli there, I believe. So that was a really good win for Spurs. I'm really impressed with Sheffield United so far this season, but I don't think they'll be able to beat Tottenham on their own patch. I'm going to go for a Tottenham win here. I'm going to go 3-1 to Tottenham. I think Tottenham are starting to produce some good results now, and they're starting to make a difference. I think they would have won against Everton if they wouldn't have been down to 10 men. So I'm going to go for a Tottenham win in that one. The 5:30 game is probably a game of the weekend if there wasn't such a massive game, and that's Leicester versus Arsenal. Leicester are in 3rd. Arsenal are in 5th place with 17 points. Leicester on 23 points. Last 5 games for Arsenal. They played Victoria Guimaraes and they won 3-2. Then they had Crystal Palace and they draw 2-2. A 5-5 draw with Liverpool in the FA Cup, going out on penalties, of course. A 1-1 draw with Wolves, and then a 1-1 draw with Guimaraes again. So only 1 win in their last 5 games. And things are looking very bleak at Arsenal. They've got the Granit Xhaka situation. They've got a situation with Mesut Ozil. The fans are on Emre's back. So things aren't going too well at Arsenal. The polar opposite of that is at Leicester, where things are going swimmingly. A 2-1 defeat to Liverpool. A 2-1 defeat over Burnley. They then went to Southampton and won 9-0. A 3-1 win over Burton in the FL Cup, and then a 2-0 win over Crystal Palace. The last time these two met, Leicester won 3-0. Maitland-Niles was sent off in the first half for a second bookable offence. Then Youri Tielemans and 2 goals from Jamie Vardy made it 3-0 to Leicester on the day, and that was one of the results that cost Arsenal a top 4 finish. I think this one will be a Leicester win. I'm going to go 1-0 to Leicester. I think Leicester will win. They have the tightest defence in the Premier League, joint with Sheffield United. And then Arsenal, I just don't see them scoring many goals in this game because Leicester have quite a good defence, and I think Arsenal will struggle with the counter-attack as well. So I'm going to go for a Leicester win. I'm going to go 1-0 to Leicester in that game. We have 3 games kicking off on Sunday, the first of which is Manchester United versus Brighton. So Manchester United are in 10th place with 13 points. Brighton are in 8th place with 15 points. So Brighton are above Manchester United, which is a big surprise. Last 5 games for Brighton. A 2-0 defeat to Chelsea, a 3-0 win over Tottenham, a 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa, obviously had a player sent off in Aaron Moy, a 3-2 win over Everton, and a 2-0 win over Norwich. Last 5 for Manchester United. A 1-0 draw with Liverpool, a 1-0 win over Partizan Belgrade, a 3-1 win over Norwich, a 2-1 win over Chelsea in the FL Cup. And this is where I was starting to think, okay, the tide has turned, Ollie's sorted it out, and they lost 1-0 at Bournemouth. So I don't know. Manchester United are so hard to predict at the moment. But I'm going to go for them to beat Brighton. I just think if they can't even beat Brighton at home, then they're in major trouble. And I think they'll be able to beat Brighton. The last time these two met, it finished 2-1 to Manchester United. However, in the last 2 seasons, Brighton have beaten Manchester United at home twice. A 1-0 win in 2018. In the season when Manchester City won the title with 100 points, and then last season they beat them 3-2. That was in August. I remember that game. I was at, looking at a university with my girlfriend, and that finished 3-2. I saw the end of that. It was a good game to watch. But I think Brighton, I don't think they'll have enough to beat Manchester United. I'm going to go 2-0 to Manchester United. I think Manchester United will be fine in that one. Wolves versus Aston Villa. This game I'm hoping to cover on my channel, so feel free to watch that. It'll be around a 1:30 start for that one. Wolves are in 12th place with 13 points. Aston Villa are in 16th place with 11 points. The last 5 games, including a meeting between the two teams. Norwich, they've played Aston Villa, and Aston Villa won 5-1. A 2-1 win over Brighton, a 3-0 defeat to Manchester City, a 2-1 win over Wolves in the EFL Cup, and a 2-1 defeat to Liverpool. Last 5 games for Wolves: a 1-1 draw with Southampton. Slavia Bratislava, they beat 2-1. And then a 1-1 draw with Newcastle, a 2-1 defeat to Aston Villa in the EFL Cup, and a 1-1 draw with Arsenal. They do play Bratislava tonight, so keep an eye on that one as well. So obviously I'm recording this on Thursday afternoon, so I won't be able to tell you what happens in that game. I'm going to go for a draw here. This is the first draw I predicted in this round of fixtures, but I'm going for a draw. I'm going to go 2-2 in this game. I'm expecting a few goals, but I'm expecting a draw overall. I'm going to go 2-2. And now we start with the final game, which is the big one. Liverpool versus Manchester City. Liverpool are in first place with 10 wins and 1 draw from their opening 11 games. Manchester City, 8 wins, 1 draw, 2 defeats. They've already scored 34 goals this season, which is absolutely incredible for Manchester City, including 8 goals past Watford. The last 5 for both sides. Manchester City beat Atalanta 5-1. A 3-0 win over Aston Villa, 3-1 win over Southampton in the EFL Cup, 2-1 win over Southampton in the Premier League, and then a 1-0 draw with Atalanta with Edison came off. I'm not sure if he was going to play or not in this game, and then Claudio Bravo was sent off, which means Kyle Walker was in goal for the remaining about 10 minutes. I think he was in goal for. Liverpool's last 5 games: a 4-1 win over Genk, a 2-1 win over Tottenham, a 5-5 draw with Arsenal winning on penalties, a 2-1 win over Aston Villa, and a 2-1 win over Genk. So 5 straight wins in those 5 games. I'm not sure, like I say, whether Edison will be in the side. City have a few injury problems. Rodri's been injured, and Laporte is still injured. And I don't think City will win this game. I want City to win this game for the sake of having a good title race, and it would really open things up at the top, but I don't see that happening. I see Liverpool winning this game, and I think Liverpool will win fairly comfortably because City just aren't at the races at the moment. I'm going to go 2-0 to Liverpool. Liverpool winning the game comfortably, and I think with that win they will win the league. I think it's Liverpool's title to lose after that if they do win that game. Well, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and of course subscribe if you're new. Put your predictions into the chat as well. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. My name is Mike, and I will see you soon.